I'm Eric, I'm a game designer, and today I'm going to analyze the game design of Binding of Isaac, discuss how Binding of Isaac achieves replayability through variety and agency. Binding of Isaac is a roguelike with simple mechanics, but don't be fooled, because the game is hiding an extraordinary amount of depth within all the possible interactions you can discover. Every run you play, a unique challenge is presented in front of you, through different rooms, different enemies, different bosses. Furthermore, you create your own unique build through the items you collect, by presenting a unique experience every time you play, with predictable and familiar inputs, but unpredictable challenges because of the randomness you face. Binding of Isaac utilizes asymmetry, player randomness, and game randomness to increase the variety and thus replayability. Asymmetry derives from the choices you make before starting the level. Which character do you pick? Which difficulty do you play on? Already in those choices, there is so much room to determine your approach. The character you select will influence your entire playthrough and will change the decisions you make because of the strategy and strengths of each character. Additionally, there is game randomness. The obstacles and challenges you will face in each run, the enemies which appear in a specific room, the room setup that you face, and of course the bosses at the end of each level. There is of course a structure to it, with specific enemies only spawning in specific levels, to retain both the thematic ties, but also scale up the level of difficulty in accordance with the player progression. Lastly, we have player randomness, which are the items the player can choose to interact with and create their own build. The spawning of these items is completely random, although some are set to particular rooms. The game still provides a bit of control over the randomness, to not frustrate you completely. Sometimes you can reroll the item, sometimes you can buy the item in the shop, and sometimes you can only receive an item in a devil deal. All this randomness and variation the game presents could have easily led to a lack of control. But this is exactly where Binding of Isaac shines. It gives you agency over your choices. You decide where you're going to go on the map, whether you enter a room or not, how you're going to approach clearing this room, and whether you're going to pick up an item or skip it. Nothing in Binding of Isaac is forced upon you. You make all the decisions yourself. Some will be temporary, others will have a lasting impact. You may not be in control over the randomness the game presents you, but you're always in control over how you interact with the randomness. Because of this agency, you are empowered to play more, to learn more about the game and become better. Even for beginning players, Binding of Isaac presents tangible goals that can be achieved, because there are 3 elements which will affect how far you progress. You have skill, your ability to execute and make decisions in real time. In other words, combat. You have knowledge, how much you know about the game, the possible interactions and synergies that you can utilize to become stronger. And lastly, you have luck. For example, with what bosses you face, and which items you may stumble upon. This luck can help beginning players become victorious, but in the process, they become more skillful and gain knowledge as well. Binding of Isaac plays into this, by keeping players continuously engaged, by presenting new challenges, new levels to discover, and more items to be unlocked, the more consistently you are able to reach further in the dungeon. As a result of unlocking new items, new combinations can be discovered, and the sense of exploring new synergies is therefore persistent. In addition to the fact that new and powerful items can help struggling players to once again progress further. Everything in Binding of Isaac works towards presenting a cycle of progression. From the start, the player is motivated to play because they know there's more to discover. Then the more they play, the better they become and the further they progress. And then as a feedback to that, more levels are unlocked, more items are to be discovered, and that once again motivates the player to keep playing. And this cycle just repeats itself, again and again. Thank you so much for watching another episode of Game Designer Plays. If you enjoyed this video, please consider liking and subscribing. I would highly appreciate that. And then I hope to see you back in my next video. See you there! Bye bye.